This video is just a quick review of solving proportions. When we solve proportions, what we're saying are that two ratios are equivalent to each other. And so because we've got two ratios or fractions, what we're going to do is cross multiply. Okay, so if our cross products are equivalent, then we know our ratios are proportional, and that is what we're doing. Our ratios are equivalent. There we go. That's the right word. So we're going to cross multiply, you're going to simplify, and then you're going to solve for a variable. So in our particular case, we have negative 10/8 is equal to 7 over a. Now that negative, I think on your actual paper, it's right next to the division bar, but when it's right next to that division bar, that means that negative can either be in your numerator or in your denominator, but it can't be in both your numerator and denominator, so you want to be careful of that. It doesn't matter where you put it, as long as you don't put it in both the numerator and denominator. Okay, so I'm going to cross multiply, and when I do that, I have negative 10 times a, and that equals 7 times 8. Okay, negative 10 times a is negative 10a. 7 times 8 is 56. I'll divide both sides by negative 10. And when I do that, I have a is equal to negative 5.6, or negative 5 6/10. Okay, if you have a proportion where you have a binomial in your numerator or denominator, you're going to need to first put parentheses around that. And we've done a few problems like that in class, but if you had one, and I'm just going to make one up, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but if we had 3 minus x divided by 2, and that equals 4 plus x divided by 3. Okay, and you don't actually have these parentheses usually given around here, but when we cross multiply, we need to make sure that we include them. Okay, and the reason is so that we distribute. Okay, so we want to say this is 3 times 3 minus x, which is equal to 2 times 4 plus x. And when we distribute, we know to distribute now because we have these parentheses. So that would be 9 minus 3x, which equals 8 plus 2x, because we distribute. And then we want to get or isolate our variable terms to one side of the equation. So I can do that by adding 3x to both sides. If I do that, I'm left with 9 is equal to 8 plus 5x. And then I would subtract 8 from each side. And if I do that, 9 minus 8 is 1. 1 equals 5x. And I can divide both sides by 5 to get that x equals 1/5. And that would be the solution that would make these two ratios equivalent to each other. Okay, sometimes you're given a problem such as 6 divided by x is equal to x divided by 8. And we are looking for x. And if we do that, we cross multiply, you'll have x times x is equal to 6 times 8. And the biggest thing here is to remember that x times x is actually x squared, not 2x, which is a very common, and that's equal to 48. And so in order to solve for x, the inverse operation of squaring something is taking the square root. So I would take the square root of both sides, and when I do that, I get x is equal to the square root of 48. Okay, well now, because we've already know how to simplify these, I can say 48 is 6 times 8, and 6 is 2 times 3, and 8 is 2 times 4, and 4 is 2 times 2. So I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 for 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3. Okay, so I've got this pair of 2's and this pair of 2's, and I'm left with just this 3. So that's going to stay under the radical. So x is equal to 4 times the square root of 3.